So drawing from life is a lot different than drawing from a picture because we've got a bunch of new variables. Anytime you even like switch the position you're sitting in, or like move your head slightly, it changes what you're looking at. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for you guys, but I know you can do it. This is an advanced class. You guys are fully capable of doing super well with this assignment. So we're going to first be drawing this mason jar because it's just simple. You can clearly see highlights versus shadows. It's going to be a good approach to drawing something transparent as well as drawing a still life. So something that's in front of you rather than from a picture. So for this, make sure you have your charcoal pencils, so both your black and white ready to go. My tip just broke, so I'll have to sharpen that. And then you'll need a regular pencil for sketching out and eraser. Remember that the charcoal can erase, but it doesn't erase well. So you do want to start with a regular pencil when you're like planning out your drawing and getting it sketched out like that. So you can see we have this gray background. It matches the gray of the paper we're drawing. So we're not going to do a ton of shading in the background. We'll maybe add a little bit of shadow right here where we see it in the background. But that's the purpose of matching our paper with the background so that it's like all the same there. It helps us focus on the object a little bit more. So what we want to do first is sketch out the shapes of the mason jar. Now, when we're doing a still life, here's a trick. Now, you can't see my arm completely, but what I'm doing is fully extending my arm, and I'm gonna use my pencil as a measuring tool. So this is what I'm doing first. I'm comparing the mouth of the mason jar, so very top of the lid to the very bottom of the lid, to the rest of it. So that's how tall it is. I put my thumb there, and I'm comparing that to the rest. So there's one, about two. So this top of the mason jar is about 1/3 the size of the entire thing put together. That's gonna help me when I'm sketching this out. So let me plan. Let's see, I want about the top of my mason jar here. I want it to take up my whole paper pretty much. And then the bottom about there. Now, if I want that mouth to be about 1/3 the way down, it's gonna be roughly, so 1/3 of what I have drawn is, if that's halfway, it's probably gonna be about here. So we're all about comparisons, okay? So there's the plan for the height. Now I gotta figure out the width. So height compared to width. I'm gonna measure with my pencil again, arm fully extended. There's the height is almost my full pencil, and then compared to the width. Okay, so it looks like the width of my mason jar is about 2/3 compared to the height. So if I make my mark right here, that is about what's left over when I compare the width. That's measuring with the pencil there. So now I have my paper. My height is a little bit taller than my pencil. I could even just use my hands. So that's my total height, but remember my mason jar is 2/3 of that. So I don't need to go my full width. I need to go in just a little bit. Now you can see this is a lot of guesstimation. But now, okay, I have that drawn. Now I'll compare. Yeah, I think I hit the 2/3. So this width is about 2/3 because remember the mouth was 1/3, so that leaves 2/3. So you can see how math is gonna be really used in like just quick comparisons. So I've got my guidelines drawn. Now let's sketch the actual mason jar. So I'm gonna just keep it light. I need to actually have lead though in my pencil. Keep it light to get this kind of rough circle shape for the opening. Now it's not gonna look super accurate at first, but I'm just planning. And then I've got the sides that come down, and they gotta hit those marks that I made because that's how wide this mason jar is. And then they go about straight down, and then I gotta curve down to meet my bottom mark. So it's all about planning. Now, right now, this is a little bit of a challenge for me making this video because I am looking through my phone screen rather than at the drawing itself to make sure that, you know, it looks the way it's gonna look when you guys watch this video. So I'm going to take a second to put my drawing down and fix this a little bit. So you're not gonna be able to see the mason jar, but I'll tilt this down so it's a little bit easier for me to draw. So I'm still looking at my mason jar right now to fix my drawing. It's just really hard holding this up and drawing like that. So I'm looking at actually where the shoulders of the mason jar are hitting my drawing. And I'm gonna just refine my drawing, basically. I've got a great sketch for my sizing. Now I need to refine it to the actual sizes that it needs to be. Last thing I'm gonna add is this line where the background meets like the base, because that's gonna be a good like guideline for me. So it's about here. And it goes through the mason jar, not super clear though, and it comes out about right there. Great, so all the pencil lines are drawn. Now I'm going to switch to my charcoal pencil. So what I'm looking for are these really dark shadow areas, and I'm gonna try to match those. Okay, so here's most of my shadows. Now remember, you don't have to get them all in one go, but it does help if you really focus and try to get most of them. You're basically looking for anything that's darker than your paper. So that's what I was looking for. Now I didn't get all of them, but I got most of them. So I'm ready to swap to highlights for a little bit, and then I could go back to shadows at the end. So with highlights, remember, white pencil and the black charcoal pencil do not like to mix very well. So just be careful when you're filling in the black charcoal pencil that you don't go too crazy. Make sure you leave the spaces for the highlights, or else they won't layer over each other super well. So now what I'm looking for are those clearly white areas on my mason jar. So we got like this really strong highlight right here. So I'm starting there. Now just remember, if you even shift your head a little bit, these highlights might change, they might move, they might change shape. So try to hold your head still and hold your drawing in the same place. It'll just help things stay consistent with you. This will especially be important when we start the still lifes, where you've got more objects, a little bit more complicated, where we're working over multiple days. So you'll have to like think back, okay, where was I sitting yesterday? You know, because if we sit in a different spot, it could be different. You decide what's going to make it look the most realistic, because that's what we're going for. We're going for realism on these mason jars. So not only do you look for highlights, but you also look for areas that are lighter on the paper than the background. So we kind of have this lightish area where there's like a reflection going on somewhere. So I'm just filling that in. All right, once you feel like you got most of the highlights, you can switch back to your dark pencil again. Continue to find those shadows. Sometimes it helps to give yourself a break from shadows or highlights and switch to the other to kind of give your eyes a chance to look for something else. But that's pretty much it. So now will be your time to try drawing some mason jars using black and white charcoal pencils.